Well, this was another day of international condemnation for Syria following this weekend's brutal massacre. 108 people were killed in a matter of hours, mostly women and children. The images are haunting. We're about to show you some of them, but despite the disturbing pictures and the widespread calls for peace, as our Sasha Petrosic tells us, the violence goes on.
There was no let-up today. Shells were flying. The ground was rumbling. Tanks, machine guns, artillery, and death. Reports of 41 more people in the last day after a horrific Friday that saw more than 100 killed in Hula, including 49 children. Laid out on mattresses, the toddlers could have been asleep, except they're dead. These pictures can't be verified, but the deaths have been confirmed by UN observers and witnessed by young Ali Adel. He escaped after seeing his family gunned down. They pointed the tanks at our house, then broke in by shooting down the door, he says. 11 men, soldiers, and Shabiha, government thugs. My brother was beaten all over, then shot in the back and the head. They shot at me but missed. I have the bullet fragments here in my hand. After they left, he says, I ran out shaking and terrified, past the bodies of my sister, my brothers, and my mom lying on the bed. I saw all of them shot. Today, Kofi Annan, the UN peace envoy who negotiated a ceasefire deal in Syria weeks ago, arrived in Damascus.
Those responsible for these brutal crimes must be held to account.
UN observers will be investigating the massacre in Hula after the Security Council came close to blaming Syria for it last night. Today, Annan was more diplomatic.
And this message of peace is not only for the government, but for everyone, every individual with a gun.
That's what Syria's allies, Russia and China, are saying as well, though they seem more reluctant to support the Assad regime since Friday's killings. Most other countries expressed outrage, but they didn't have much new to offer, except condolences. Peter?
Sasha, what about Syria's opposition forces? What are they saying?
Well, they're a pretty fragmented group, though some of the more prominent parts of the opposition did say today they didn't see much point in negotiating another ceasefire deal with the Syrian regime. They plan to step up armed resistance. Peter?
Sasha's in Jerusalem tonight. Thanks, Sasha. Political rallies began in Damascus in mid-March last year. Within days, there were reports of Syrian security forces killing protesters. And from there, violence continued to escalate. In August, the UN Security Council issued a statement calling for Syrian authorities to cease the use of force. The UN General Assembly adopted a resolution condemning the violence in February. Canada announced it would close its Syrian embassy in March, following similar moves from several other Western countries. The United Nations now puts the death toll at over 10,000 and says hundreds of thousands of Syrians have been displaced because of the violence.